Hello, my name is Reverend Dr. Mae Elise Cannon. This is Monday, October 16th. Today is the 10th day of the war between Israel and Hamas. Hamas just released a video of the first hostage that we've seen, a French-Israeli woman. Her name is Maya Sham. She's 21 years old. She had an injured hand. We're told that she was taken to a hospital. You can actually see someone caring for her in the video. It looks like she was taken care of. We're told that she was provided medication. In the video, she says as much, and she asks to be taken home. And she says, come and get me as soon as you can. Hamas communicated that they're treating hostages with, quote, dignity and respect, end quote. Churches for Middle East Peace is calling for the release of all hostages. I hope you'll go to our website, www.cmep.org, to see our statements. We put out several statements last week. We have heard that the confirmed number of hostages currently being held by Hamas is 199. Some other things that are happening in terms of the war is that Israel is massing troops along the northern border of Gaza. It does sound like we're still waiting for a ground invasion as of Monday, late afternoon, early evening, East Coast time. That has not happened as of yet. We continue to have a devastating humanitarian crisis in Gaza. We're told, as of this weekend by the United States government that water has been turned on in South Gaza. As you know, last week, the Israeli government turned off water, gas, and electricity. As of right now, we have not heard that the displaced people and people in Gaza have had access to water, even though water has been turned on in South Gaza, because electricity has not also been turned on. And not only that, so many of the pipes have been so severely damaged. So my update yesterday was about UNRWA saying that they're just overrun, that they're at capacity, that they have run out of food and water. And the updates that we received today is that that reality is no different. A report was released today, and the Archbishop of Canterbury, Justin Welby, out of the UK, he issued an appeal for the hospitals and patients in Gaza. And one of the things that he was calling upon was that he said, I appeal for the evacuation order on hospitals in North Gaza to be reversed so that health facilities, health workers, patients, and civilians might be protected. And we're learning that for some of the patients who are either incapacitated, they're not able to be evacuated. And so if there's going to be attacks in North Gaza, patients and hospitals, or for people who have disabilities or immobility issues, they're not able to leave. And so they are among the most vulnerable. And so Welby was calling on Israel to reverse that evacuation order. We heard that the EU, the European Union, is sending supplies into Sinai. They are working on a humanitarian corridor. As of right now, the Rafah border has not been opened. There are humanitarian supplies waiting to be delivered into Gaza, but the border has to be opened. The border between Egypt and Gaza, the Rafah checkpoint, and that has not been opened. There are right now amassing in the southern part of Gaza. The vast majority of the population is located there. And so the concern is that once they open the Rafah border, that masses of people will try to exit. Humanitarian supplies wouldn't be allowed in. And so as of right now, humanitarian supplies have not been able to enter through the Egyptian checkpoint. The United States has been very active. One of the things we were talking about at Churches for Middle East Peace when President Biden was elected was that foreign policy was one of the lowest priorities in terms of his political agenda. And the Middle East was one of, an even lower priority in terms of, on the rung of things that he wanted to work on. And many people have said that if you ignore the Middle East, you will learn the hard way. And so this war is an example of President Biden having learned that lesson. And so he and Secretary Blinken and others in the White House and in the administration have been full on engaged, at least up until this point. So last night, President Biden went on 60 Minutes And one of the things he communicated was that there needs to be a Palestinian Authority, of whom President Abbas is the head of the Palestinian Authority. And he said that there needs to be a Palestinian state. But then he kind of calibrated himself and he said, but not yet, but not now. And so some conjecture has, some people have thought that maybe he was saying that Gaza, once Israel defeats Hamas, and once Hamas, is either eradicated or defeated, or once there's a ceasefire, that maybe the U.S. is hoping that the Palestinian Authority will reestablish control in Gaza. President Biden also was very clear, and he said that it would be a mistake for the Israelis to occupy Gaza. And there's been a lot of concern about that the Palestinian people would be displaced, that Israel would reoccupy and physically control by its military presence, the actual territory in Gaza. And so Biden was very clear that that was a mistake. Blinken, the Secretary of State, has been traveling all over the Middle East. He traveled to Israel, Jordan, Qatar, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates. He traveled back to Saudi Arabia, then to Egypt, back to Jordan, and then back to Israel. And so he has been doing shuttle diplomacy. And we hear that there are conversations about what might happen with the hostages, about what might happen in terms of there might even be the potential we're hoping that there might be the potential for a ceasefire. We've not heard that, of course, from the administration in any way, shape, or form. So that is what we're praying for. That's what we're hoping for. Tomorrow is a day when the patriarchs and the heads of churches of Jerusalem have called for a day of fasting and a day of prayer. Today, Cardinal Pizzaballa, he is the head of the Latin Patriarchate in Jerusalem, which is the Catholic church in Jerusalem. Today, Cardinal Pizzaballa offered himself in place of the hostages and said that he would be willing to take their place if Hamas would agree. We've not heard that there was any formal response. But the heads of churches tomorrow, we will pray alongside of them. We will fast alongside of them. Churches for Middle East Peace will have our corporate prayer on Wednesday morning. We'll do a briefing on Thursday morning. And so we will try to keep you informed as things progress. We're continuing to pray. We have lost touch. I personally have lost touch with the contacts that I had in Gaza. I've not heard from them since Saturday. And we're hoping to hear from them very soon. We'll also give a briefing in the next couple of days about what's happening in the West Bank. Friday was a really rough day. It was a day of protests. We heard that there were more than 50 Palestinians who were killed in those protests on Friday. And so things in the West Bank are also getting quite difficult. And so we're paying close attention to what's happening on the ground. We're calling for not only de-escalation, but a ceasefire. We're calling for an end to this war. And of course, that the core issues of the conflict would be addressed. And so we'll continue working to that end. Thank you for your advocacy. Please, 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 if you've not engaged in our action alert, please do. We're asking people to give, to take action, and to pray. And so thank you for coming alongside of us as we work together toward peace.